All right, hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into something that's happening all around you and even inside you every single moment of the day, the world of acids and bases. This isn't just some abstract chemistry concept. It's the fundamental chemical dance that makes so much of our world work.
So, let's start with a simple question to get you thinking. What in the world do lemons and soap have in common? I mean, really think about it. One is sour, the other is bitter and slippery. They seem like total opposites, don't they? Well, it turns out, chemically, they're just two sides of the very same coin.
And for ages, we've known about these basic differences. We know acids are sour, like that lemon. We know bases are bitter and feel kind of soapy on your skin. If you've ever been in a chem lab, you know the drill. Acids turn litmus paper red, bases turn it blue. These are the obvious sensory clues that started this whole chemical mystery.
But you know how scientists are. Just knowing what these things do was never going to be enough. The real question was why? Why does a lemon act so differently than a bar of soap? That burning curiosity, that search for a deeper meaning, is what led us to our first real scientific definition.
The first major breakthrough came from a chemist named Svante Arrhenius. He had this idea. An acid is basically any substance that, when you dissolve it in water, breaks apart and releases hydrogen ions, these tiny H+ particles. It was a fantastic start, but you'll notice there's a really important catch here. It has to be dissolved in water.
And for the other side of the equation, he defined a base as anything that produces hydroxide ions, that's OH-, when you dissolve it in water. So, for Arrhenius, the entire universe of acids and bases boiled down to these two ions, H+ and OH-, and it all had to be happening in a water-based solution.
Now, this was a great model, but it had one giant limitation. What happens if a reaction takes place without any water? What about reactions happening between gases? The Arrhenius theory it falls apart. It couldn't explain those situations, which meant we needed a better, more universal definition.
And that bigger, better idea is what we call the Bronsted-Lowry theory. And this was a total game changer. It took the focus off of water and put it squarely on the movement of one tiny, incredibly important particle, the proton.
So here's the new definition for an acid, and it's so much simpler and more powerful. A Bronsted-Lowry acid is just any substance that can donate a proton. That's it. Full stop. It doesn't matter where it is, in water, in the air, whatever. If it gives away a proton, we call it an acid.
And if an acid is a proton donor, then it only makes sense that a base is its perfect partner. A Bronsted-Lowry base is any substance that can accept that proton. See the beautiful symmetry there? One gives, the other takes. It's a perfect exchange.
Now this is the really cool part. The key word here is simultaneous. An acid doesn't just, toss a proton out into the void hoping something will catch it. No way. The moment the acid donates the proton, the base is right there to accept it. It happens in the exact same instant. It's like a perfect, seamless handoff.
So let's just walk through this dance step by step. Before anything happens, you've got your acid and your base just hanging out. Then the exchange happens. Zap! The proton jumps from the acid over to the base. But check this out. After the exchange, they've traded identities. The thing that was the acid has now lost its proton, so it's become something that can accept one back. We call that a conjugate base. And the original base, now that it's gained a proton, can act as a donor. It's become a conjugate acid.
And that whole process gives us this concept of conjugate pairs. So the original acid and its new form, the conjugate base, are a pair. And the original base and its new form, the conjugate acid, are another pair. They're forever linked in that reaction, and the only thing separating them is that one little proton. Okay, so we've got a handle on what acids and bases are. But how they actually behave in the real world isn't just about their identity. It's also about, their personality. Are they really eager to give away their protons, or are they kind of stingy? This is where the idea of strength comes in.
And right away, we have to clear up something that trips a lot of people up. The difference between strength and concentration. They are not the same thing. Concentration is easy. It's just how much of the stuff you've crammed into a certain amount of liquid. Strength, on the other hand, is all about behavior. It's about what percentage of those molecules actually break apart and donate their protons.
So, for example, a strong acid like hydrochloric acid is a super generous proton donor. You put it in water, and pretty much every single molecule gives up its proton instantly. But a weak acid, like the ethanoic acid you find in vinegar, is a lot more reluctant. Only a tiny fraction of its molecules will actually let go of their protons at any given moment.
And of course, chemists have a way to put a number on this. We use a value called Ka, the acid ionization constant. It's basically a scorecard for acid strength. If the Ka is high, bigger than 1, you've got a strong acid on your hands. If the Ka is low, less than 1, you know it's a weak acid that prefers to hold on to its protons.
So we've got donors, acceptors, strength, concentration. That's a lot going on at the molecular level. But how do we take all that complexity and put a simple, practical number on it? How do we measure acidity in a way that anyone can understand?
Well, here's the problem. The actual concentration of these ions in a solution can be a ridiculously small number, like 0.0000001. I mean, nobody wants to write that out all the time. It's just clunky. We needed a better language, a simpler system to talk about this stuff.
And that better system is the pH scale. It is an absolutely brilliant mathematical trick. It takes those tiny, messy decimal numbers and uses a logarithm to turn them into a nice, clean, easy-to-use scale, usually from 0 to 14.
And using it is super intuitive. A pH of 7 is right in the middle. That's neutral, like pure water. Anything below 7 is acidic, and the lower the number, the stronger the acid. Anything above 7 is basic. And you might notice the table says hydronium ion, H3O+. Don't let that throw you. That's just the official name for a proton that's hitched a ride on a water molecule. It's how we actually measure the protons in a solution. It's a simple number line for a very complex reality.
Okay, so we've gone from talking about lemons and soap all the way to protons and logarithms. But let's pull back for a second. Why does any of this matter? Why have we spent all this time figuring out this incredible, intricate proton dance?
Because this proton exchange is, well, it's everything. It's the engine that drives the reactions that create salt and water. It's the key to understanding environmental issues like acid rain. It's what allows us to neutralize dangerous substances. And most importantly, it's fundamental to the biology that keeps every single one of us alive. From massive industrial processes to the cells in your own body, this simple little proton transfer is one of the most important chemical reactions in the entire universe.